How are drug metabolism and detection related? If someone is taking treatment for a psychiatric disorder, then would traces of the metabolized drug be detected in their sweat or saliva? Um, I believe the person who had asked this question was referring to diazepam, which is used for psychiatric disorders such as anxiety. It's also sometimes used for other things such as muscle spasms. So diazepam is a great example of a drug that undergoes a lot of metabolism. And when I say metabolism, I mean your body is converting the chemical compound that's in the tablet or that you're taking, which is this right here, and it's going to chemically modify it. That is metabolism. So here's diazepam here. If you look at all of these structures, these are all metabolites of diazepam. Now, the main organ responsible for this process is the liver. So when we look at these metabolites, one of the things that's worth noting, actually, when you look at diazepam, I think at first glance, you would probably say that it's pretty lipophilic. It doesn't look too water soluble. And you don't see a lot of polar groups. Diazepam is indeed not particularly water soluble. It's lipophilic. So the metabolites, if you look at them, what are they doing to the drug? Well, they're kind of making it more polar. You look here, they took the methyl group off. That was here. This carbon gets oxidized. That adds a polar OH group. And you could just look at all the rest of the structures. I don't want to go through each and every one, but I think you see where I'm going with it. So the body, whether it's a metabolite or the original drug, and I'm not talking about diazepam when I say the original drug, usually eliminates the compounds through the urine. Also, sweat and saliva, it does, just to a much less extent. But something that's common between urine, sweat, and saliva, something has to be these compounds have to be, or metabolites have to be water soluble in order to be eliminated from the body in them. And that's what metabolism does. Now, not every drug is metabolized. There are some drugs that, if you look at their chemical structure, they're very water soluble. They got a lot of polar OH groups. And so these drugs are really just filtered out by the kidneys directly without undergoing any metabolism. So if you were to take a urine sample of a person who took, let's say, diazepam, you might not find any diazepam. You might find some of these metabolites or a combination, but you probably wouldn't find very much of this, the parent molecule. But if a drug's not metabolized, you could take a urine sample and you will find that drug in the same chemical form as when it was ingested or injected. Now, I mentioned before that metabolism, the main organ involved in metabolism is the liver. So in clinical practice, patients who have liver problems like cirrhosis, they often require dose adjustments for drugs like diazepam because the liver is just not as efficient as metabolizing the drug, and so the drug itself is going to stay in the body longer, and so are these metabolites. And some of these metabolites, especially these ones in the box, are actually active. So they do have an effect. And so the answer, it could be detectable. I'm not sure about clinical practice if it is. I'm speaking from experience, but in theory, yes. If you probably could detect the metabolites in the sweat or saliva.